Man, that was tough. That was a tough one. I've seen Ruslan speak about it. I saw Marcus Rogers talk about it.
Oh wow.
And they're saying Marcus Rogers didn't really go in as much as he would have everybody else. Did he speak
Had that
about it?
been,
So speaking of
had
that,
that
he
been
was on
Lecrae,
Trackstarz,
whew,
right?
Oh, is he friends with them or something?
Who?
You
Marcus
said that
Rogers?
they said that Marcus Rogers didn't really go in. Is he friends with Kingdom Music people?
I
Or
don't know. He might be cool with
oh
him. I think
oh
he mentioned that he was.
oh
So yeah, I don't know.
What were you about to say, Jay?
yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. What you said, Jay?
no, I was gonna say had that been Lecrae in that situation, forget it. It would have
Oh
been
yeah, he would have
videos
tore him a
galore.
new one, yo.
Oh my gosh,
But
oh, man. Anyway,
yeah, I mean
yeah,
him or Preston Perry.
yeah,
He
true.
always brings them up. I never seen even in the Trackstarz interview. I think he brought him up a couple of times.
Yeah, I mean they asked about that situation and all that stuff because um they were saying how it just looked bad from both sides, right?
Mm.
Um and they were really telling Marcus to that he gets like very offended or
Oh
like
yeah,
gets worked up and like he would get his message across a lot farther if he didn't get so worked up about things
I wonder
um
why. Why does he get so worked up with them?
with like Preston and like
Hmm.
Cray and stuff.
Yeah,
No, I don't know. I don't think he really answered that
he did
question.
say he got worked up with D1 and I think it was Ruslan too though.
Mhm. He
Mhm.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was saying that one of the things that really bothers him is that he feels like a lot of people are fake in
Hmm.
that they'll act one way in his like messages and then act another way in public. And
Yeah.
then he's also talked about how
Behind the
people have hit
when the
him up.
camera's on.
Yeah, when the camera's on, he's like, then they start like talking with their chest out type stuff, whereas they were not like that in the DMs. And then he also was like saying that there's a lot of people who come to him like secretly, and he was
Hmm.
dropping their names, and they're like, "Why are you saying their
And
names?" And stuff. He's
screenshot.
like, and he was like, because he was like, I want them to take some of this heat with me. Like, don't just say, oh, here, you do it. Like, why don't you
Right.
take some of the heat too? Type thing is what he was saying, which I thought was hilarious. But I was like, that's crazy. But at the same time, like, I feel what he's saying though. Like, I understand
Yeah.
where he's coming from. But he was
Yeah.
saying that he feels like with these particular people, why he gets so worked up is because like he was like they'll act really nice to him and then they'll like start saying stuff about him on their pages or in public. Like he was saying somebody he helped put on went on
Hmm.
like an interview or whatever, and they were like, do you think that Marcus is a wolf? And that person was like, oh, I don't know. And he was like, I helped put him on, like,
That's
so like I
crazy.
kind of understand where he's coming from when he says that sort of thing. Like people don't want to be associated with him because they don't want to take any heat that he
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
But then like, yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of like I get what he's saying. Like they use him basically until they get to a certain threshold where they like don't need him anymore, is what he was kind of saying. So yeah, he kept mentioning the Christian Illuminati.
Yeah,
I
he
thought that was
did.
such like a weird a term, but he kept using that term but he basically meant like gatekeepers, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. I was about to say, yeah. He did say that. He was like, he don't know why. He only said it because Tim Ross said it, but he really did mean gatekeepers. But
Right.
it was funny because he said D1 was like that, right? He said D1 was cool with him in private, and
Mm-hmm.
then he was like all crazy, on camera. But then D1, they was like, well, it's funny because D1 said that about you,
Uh-huh.
that you're the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the funniest part to me, I even clipped it when he was like, man, I'm from Chicago. I ain't never heard nobody say, "Oh, put this D1 on." I was crying, yo. Like, ain't nobody say put this D1 music on. Yo, that's foul.
He's
But
crazy.
yeah, but yeah, I mean, I heard him mention that. But yeah, it's good that you brought that up too because he did. I think they kind of corrected it. And it was like, do you really mean Illuminati or gatekeepers? Because when Tim Ross said it, he was talking about some weird Diddy stuff, and
Right.
but Marcus was really just talking about the gatekeeping part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
I agree with Marcus when he was talking about how Tim was saying, he's goes to these pastors, he's been to these pastors and they offer him, these things. It's like, why don't you say anything? Why do you keep that within yourselves? Because I forgot the
Yeah.
time he was like they everybody knows their dirt, but nobody
Yeah.
does it, something along those lines. If
Mhm.
you haven't watched the episode, you could definitely go to Trackstarz page and
Mhm.
listen to it. But I was like, that's so true. Like, why still kind of associate and then not like
And well, Marcus was saying like he feels like people do that because they don't want to burn bridges because they
Right.
want the connection
and the money.
and the money. And
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I'm like, I don't know
Sure.
that that's necessarily like their intent behind doing that, but he does raise a valid question of like, why aren't you guys exposing these things if they're wrong, and if they're from people that have like really big followings and big names?
Or even bringing it to them. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was like, oh, everybody knows everybody's dirt. It doesn't have to be exposed, but they don't even approach them about it. So and that's
Mhm.
what he was like, it couldn't have been me, because if I was there, then we gonna have that conversation. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, I'm gonna say
Right.
something. But he's
Yeah.
like, but Tim Ross is so like openly free, okay, like, oh yeah, we know, but we just not gonna say nothing, which is crazy. I'm not a fan of Tim Ross at all. Like,
Really?
yeah, I don't. He be talking crazy.
You think so?
Yeah, I do. Like,
You think he talks crazy
Like, what is
within
something
the
that he
Christian
said that you're
circle?
like,
one thing he said, I think Marcus brought it up too, when he was like, one of the things he said was like, what was it that, oh, the
Something about
women ain't
inches?
sign up for inch, yeah,
Yeah.
right, for
hmm?
when he was talking about, oh, well, women ain't sign up for whatever, how many inches, or she might have gotten from her man or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, what are you
Oh.
talking about? But he be saying wild stuff like that. And then dang, what else I heard from him? That dude, he be saying some real, yeah, enough.
That's funny. I actually I like Tim Ross. I don't listen to The Basement as much. Like for a while I was listening to like every episode because I thought the interviews were actually really good. And there was like a lot of things that he actually said where I was like, oh, there's like a lot of wisdom in that. Like because a lot of people I listen to, I'm not trying to be funny, but like I don't really be learning nothing from them. And he was actually saying things and I'm like, oh yeah, like I don't know, like I'm like I never really thought about that scripture like that, or I never really thought about, this Bible story like that or whatever. So like I kind of like him. But I get it though. I get why people think he's like very controversial. And that he does say like,
But is
outlandish.
doing
Yeah,
it to be,
that
so
are-
do you think he's doing it to be controversial?
I don't think that he is. I know a
You
lot
think
of
he
people
just really
do.
just be talking crazy like that?
Yeah, I do. But the thing is, like, I am around some people who like they don't talk that way publicly,
Right.
but privately they do. And there are like very Holy Spirit filled people who really do know scripture, people who really do pray, people who I can count on to pray for me and things, like people who I actually learn from. So that's why like I kind of like, I don't know, it doesn't bother me, I guess I should say.
I think
Right.
so. Go ahead, sorry.
One thing that I have thought about that I remember caused controversy is when he was talking about like I think it was like the positions about him and his wife when they were having like, was it like that or something like that?
Yeah,
something like that, right? And
something.
people were in the comments like, why are you talking like this and stuff like that? And I think that I think we were talking about it and you were like, do you think that that was wrong? And I'm like, well, if he's married, like, I think that was the consensus of our like, or the conclusion, like if he's married, like it's not wrong. But I do think that
But do you put
sometimes other Christians, it's just not for them.
Yeah.
Like you have to filter through things that you either like or you don't like. But is it wrong just because you don't like it? No. Is he doing anything sinful? I feel like no. And again, I probably wouldn't listen to that episode. I just seen clips of it like when it went viral. You know what I mean? But I'm like, that's not for me, and I don't really like that type of stuff.
But
even when I listen to the JBP, I be fast forwarding sometimes because I'm
yeah,
like,
I was
y'all
about
are
to
doing
say
too
like,
much. No, yeah, for sure. Like I really don't like
vulgar.
when it starts
Like,
getting
it's too
vulgar. Yes, I'm like, okay, like enough. Like,
but
you know,
even like even outside of Christian, right? Like,
Mhm.
is that even okay? Like, I like even listening to like JBP, right? Joe don't
Mhm.
go up there and be discussing his positions with his women when he's out on vacation. You know what I'm saying? And they could be vulgar as crap.
They be discussing a lot of things.
I mean, they do, right? They do discuss a lot of things, but I ain't never heard him talking about, yeah, me and wifey was in Greece and this and this. You know what I'm saying? Like he ain't.
Hey, I mean, you don't listen to it a lot, right?
I haven't lately, but does he talk about that? Does he talk about
No.
like the things he does with his girl?
I just feel like sometimes they be extreme. They be talking vulgar stuff. They don't
No,
talk
no, I
about
know,
the
no,
positions
they will.
necessarily, but they'll bring up hypotheticals about
That's
sleeping
what I'm
with
saying.
women
Like,
and stuff like that. And I'm like, no, like that's still a little too much for
yeah,
me.
nah, they'll do that. I know, no, I get it. They'll like dudes, you know, like just outside of Christian dudes will just talk. They'll talk, right? They'll talk,
Yeah,
whatever, and say all
right.
that.
That's crazy.
But
Like the locker
he
room
ain't,
talk.
yeah, but he ain't gonna
Yeah.
say what he's doing with his wife, you know, and
No.
put it out there is what I'm saying. So like even outside of Christian world, you don't put your stuff out there. So like that's what's bugged out to me that
Yeah.
that a regular old podcast where they talk crazy, they ain't gonna be putting their own bedroom business out there like that. So
But
why
if
would
they
you do that?
did, well, actually, he did talk about how he went on vacation. This was probably like 2 or 3 years ago. They went on vacation and he was talking about how they broke the bed. Oh, so they were talking. They did. There was instances where they talk. Here's the thing. I just feel like if Tim Ross is that his name?
Yeah.
Oh, if
Yeah.
he's on a podcast with
That's
another
the
married
name?
man and they're both talking about
Yeah.
married things,
Yeah.
I don't see a problem with it because you think about what's that lady's name that was like talking about sex on like TB, was it TBN? They had like a she's like this older white lady. She's passed now, but she had like the big hair and like they made like a documentary like a autobiography about her. And
that one lady.
Yes.
I forget her name.
But she really had a heart for people. She was like an evangelist in her own right, but she was talking about sexual things because not sexual things, but just like things that she felt like it was educational. And I just think that like was it wrong? No, but then she started kind of getting kind of weird. So I do think that was wrong. But I just think that like, okay, if you feel like that's something that you should talk about and you're married, I feel like it's not wrong. And I feel like if that's not for you, then just don't listen to it. You don't have to be like, oh, he's a false whatever now that he's talking about this. And it's just like,
Okay, yeah.
Like,
I don't think he's a false.
But people were dragging him, not just saying just that. I just feel like people were dragging him for like because they didn't like what he had to say, and it's just like, okay, just because you're single and probably jealous or something, I don't know. Some of the people would seem bitter. I'm like, okay, like
he do be saying some wild stuff though. I mean, it ain't just like I've heard. That's like one of. You know, I heard a couple of things.
Right, LNS said pretty folks just be
but like it's just
you're not wrong about that, LNF. You're not wrong, right?
Nah, but it's just I don't know. Like the few things that I've heard, you know what I'm saying? It's just like I could pass on that. And then when he's talking about like the like the whole Illuminati and the weird stuff that he knows of, and he's had,
and maybe some of it is clickbaity, like.
But I mean, it could be, but he actually speaks on it, like right, like what Marcus Rogers is talking about, like that he knows of all the weird things and the dirt that people done. What's crazy to me is that which is bugged out, is that he said that he had some pastors like proposition him, like, bro. That and I am not
and typically
I'm not saying he weird because of that, but bro, you got to give off some type of vibes. It's just somebody's proposition, and you like that's crazy to me. So I don't know. So yeah, maybe his freakiness is a whole next level. Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's I like I said, I haven't listened to episodes in a long time, but when I did used to listen, like some of the things that went viral, it was literally like one thing in passing of like the major of like the whole episode, so I was always kind of like, I don't know, like I don't know. I feel like people were like looking for, I don't know. That's how it felt to me. Like people were looking for something to say or to be like, this is wrong or this is bad. Cause I also feel like what Christians can't ever talk about sex ever.
Right.
Like ever. They're not supposed to, or like, I don't know. I get that people are like, sometimes it's too vulgar for them.
Or
Like,
they-
I get
right.
that. Or they're like, oh, I don't want to talk
shouldn't be
about
in
it. Or I don't want to
public.
hear about it. Yeah, or it shouldn't be in
Yeah.
public. Like, that's fine. But like, what about the people who are okay with it?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Right.
He said freak outs at the congregation. LNF, you're hilarious.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I know we went
But
all
I
the
get
way
it.
around.
You did.
Yeah.
You did.
Or it went from Marcus to Tim, but yeah.
Yeah. But reeling it all back into the Marcus interview, I think it was
My bad, Jay.
Reeling it
nah,
back
it's all
in.
good. I think it was productive. I think they had
No,
a
it was.
good conversation.
Yeah.
I kind of got to see, which he did. Marcus did say that he hoped people would see like kind of like a different side of him, and I definitely saw a different side of him. In those in that whole conversation that they had there. So again, if you haven't watched it, definitely go check it out on Trackstarz YouTube channel. Jimmy says Christians act like the Song of Solomon is in the
Apocrypha.
Apocrypha. Thank you.
Right, JSLA.
Yeah.
Like, it's not canon, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Who said that? Wow. Y'all are crazy.
Yo, that's crazy. That was AI.
Wow.
That was AI.
That was
Wow.
AI. That was
That's
AI.
crazy.
Yeah.
I rebuke y'all.
Wow, that's crazy.
Nah, but I think one thing about I think Marcus catches a bad rap in general just because the way he comes off, and I think it's still and it kind of like the Tim Ross thing, like where you might catch a clip or whatever, but he just always seems angry at everybody for the most part, and that's what we see the most about him. And then once he starts going off, then that goes off. Everybody else sees that, and dude always comes off as an angry person. So it was good to see a little bit different in the Trackstarz interview.
Yeah,
for sure.
for sure.
I think it's a different type of energy versus you're making a
That's
video
true.
online, about anything, and then while you're there in front of everybody, because he was even talking about like Cray and them, and then like Trax was like, "Yo, like we're good," he's a friend of the show, and stuff like that. Like we converse or whatever, and then he was like, "All right," kind of like back down a little bit.
Yeah.
Mason said Marcus needs a hug.
I feel like I feel like they had like actually a lot of good conversations about different things. Like the conversation that they had about speaking in tongues was like one of the best conversations I feel like that I've heard about tongues in this space ever. I thought that was like a really good conversation. And then they also talked about like Marcus defending himself obviously a lot. They were telling him they feel like he shouldn't defend himself, and he was like, why not? And like I don't like I kind of like when he was giving his explanations for like why he defends himself and things, like I kind of agreed with him. I was like, yeah, like what is wrong with defending yourself, especially if people are putting stuff out there and running with it and like creating this false narrative about you, and you have the chance to correct it. Why wouldn't you? Like, like I'm like, what's wrong with that? Like I kind of agree with him. Like, what is wrong with that? Even if I don't agree with the things that he says or, whatever, like, I just feel like what's wrong with defending yourself,
Yeah,
I think it's his approach. Because I'm like, I don't have a problem with people defending themselves. I think like you guys were just saying like a couple minutes ago, it really is his approach to things. He's like, sounds so angry. Like, I don't know. Like, yeah, be angry about people talking, but he sounds angry at every video.
Like
He's
mad
so
rapper.
very like,
so solemn,
condemning, huh?
So solemn. Very serious.
Exactly.
But I think that has to do a little bit of because he's a military guy, and they're brought up kind of strict or whatever. Why you rolled your eyes?
I guess.
Nah, stay with your chest. Come on, keep that same energy.
You don't think it's that?
Oh, I guess. I just feel like
it's a Chicago in him.
Shut up. Shut up.
That Kanye.
Young New York, stand up. Shut the freak up.
That's that drill in them.
That's where you're from. Do you submit to the Lord? Oh. But anyway, yeah, I just think that a lot of his videos, obviously, he's very just aggressive, and I think that's probably why people are like, You're
Probably.
angry, but that is a good point, Jay. Could be.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he did mention the Muslim guy drowning. He did
Oh,
mention
really?
like, yeah, he did.
Oh,
He
word?
mentioned
Oh, I missed that.
he mentioned adultery and fornication like
Oh, yeah,
on
yeah.
his part, because one of the dudes on Trackstarz, I don't know who the different guys are, sorry, but one of the dudes mentioned like, because Marcus was saying like, okay, but Paul called out Peter, Paul called out different people or whatever when they wronged him, like, so what's wrong with defending yourself type thing. And one of the dudes like, but Paul also said, I'm the chief of sinners. Like, he was quick to call out his own sin. And so I thought that was cool though, like that the guy mentioned that, because that was kind of how I felt. Obviously, when we've talked about Marcus Rogers in the past, was like, you're very judgmental about other people, but you want people to be gracious to you, is how I felt about Marcus. But yeah, he did call it out. Like, he did talk about the Muslim dude that drowned. He mentioned it like kind of in passing, and then yeah, like I said, he mentioned adultery and fornication also. So he was like, those are obviously things that I did, and so yeah. Because I'd never heard him.
Did he drown the guy on purpose?
No,
Oh.
he was trying to baptize him.
Yeah.
But no, he mentioned it because he was like, "Oh, it's out there on the internet."
Oh, okay.
He
Got
just mentioned it in passing, but yeah.
That was-
No, he didn't say, "Oh, I drowned this dude on purpose." I
I
held him.
forgot about that. Yeah.
That's crazy.
That was a while ago too, huh?
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Wow.
So yeah, I did see another side of Marcus. He was laughing and joking too,
Yeah.
which
Mhm.
I've never seen before either.
That's good.
Yeah.
But yeah. So it was a good interview. I felt like they did a good job. They asked him everything they wanted to. They pushed
Yeah.
back and he pushed back. So it was cool.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. That's good to see, especially when you have people with opposing views, kind of like a Bryson, but it always turns out to be like a
An argument.
standoff. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like it just gets it turns into arguments and things like that. So that was cool to see.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
They did talk about Bryson too, which was interesting.
did they?
A little bit. They talked about Bryson, yeah.
Boy,
Y'all gotta watch it. Y'all gotta watch the whole thing.
Yeah, I
Put it
gotta
on 2
finish
times
it.
speed.
Yeah, you say Bryson's name 2 more times, he's gonna pop up. I'm telling you. Never
Yeah.
fails, yo.